Hello and welcome to the Creaky Kudos. I'm a Monk, and today we are in Age of Wonders 4 with yet another faction build. But wait, this isn't just any old faction build. Oh no. Recently we had our very first ever DLC. So we are going to be doing a faction build using that. We're going to be using the DLC content that we got to make the most overpowered faction that we possibly can. So of course we're going to be starting with our lizard folk, as they are the new physical form that we can pick. And of course with them we're going to be using poisonous because it kind of recommends you using that anyway. But bulk work, in my opinion, would work very well as well, because that +2 in defense is very good and completely stackable depending on your build type. Now for our second ability, our mind trait, we're going to be using adaptable, because our troops get an extra 30% experience, which is going to prove really bloody useful for us, because of course now we have troops or troop units that will actually evolve. So the easier we can get that experience, the better for us. Okay, so now it's down to our culture. In my opinion, the shadow affinity is a great affinity to go down. I will explain why a little bit later in the video, but for this we're going to choose dark. Now dark is a great culture pick anyway. Your cities are able to negate negative city stability, which can be really useful, especially as, you know, if you don't pay attention to it, city stability can have a real impact in your world. Now we're going to pick dark in this build, but industrious, high, all of these are very good cultures to pick from. Pick whatever you want. Personally, I don't like to think about city stability, and I do feel that the shadow affinity is a great one for us to go down as early as possible. Moving on to our social traits, once again I do feel that shadow affinity is a great way to go, so we're going to double down on that. Now with this, it does mean that our cities gain an extra 10 draft, and our cities also gain an extra 5 Imperium per evil level. Great for us. I plan to go evil anyway. The more evil we go, the more Imperium we get. I think Imperium is a great hack for this game. We want to unlock perks, and personally I use it to boost up the population of my cities. Now the second society trait had me a little bit stumped, because I've played through as this build a few times and I've tried to figure out what's the best one to pair with it. Great builders for me is a great trait to pick. I love the fact that your quarries yield extra gold. I love the fact that you start with a workshop and a stone wall. However, there are some pretty good spells that we're going to be unlocking with this DLC build, because we got some new stuff in, some new tomes. So I feel like gifted casters could be pretty good. We get a +10 in combat casting, and we're going to have some good spells there to use as well. And we get a +10 in world casting points. Also, combat spells cost 20% less, which in my opinion is very useful. And of course that brings us to our first tome. We're going to be picking Tome of Evolution. That is the first of the 2 tomes that we got with the DLC. Now, as I said, Tome of Evolution is the first tome. You do have to get to tier 3 tomes in order to unlock Tome of Dragon. We will be talking about that a little bit later in the video, so stick with this video and we'll see that as well. Within Tomes of Evolution, however, I quite like Dragon Vitality, because this gives our troops a +3 health per unit rank, and of course we're gonna be upgrading our troops because we're gonna be wanting to evolve them. Now, this time also gives us our first two evolution units. You have the Summon Wyvern Fledgling and the Sliver Hatchling as well. Now, at first glance, the Sliver Hatchling is nothing to write home about. It doesn't have a huge amount of health, and it is something you're going to have to try to protect as you level it up. And this is exactly why getting that adaptable earlier is going to help us massively. There's a few things we can do later in the game as well, but evolving this, you're going to have to go through combat. You're going to have to get it to legendary rank for it to evolve. But if you are patient and protect it, it will evolve into a tier 3 animal unit, and it's a little bit bulkier and a little bit better. And the young wyvern fledgling actually evolves into a golden wyvern, which is actually a rather difficult unit to get. So that is definitely worth actually leveling up, getting up to legendary, and watching it evolve, because this is a good bloody unit to have. Now, with this DLC, we also get something new. We get to pick a new ruler origin. And that being said, we now get to pick a Dragon Lord. And a Dragon Lord has something very, very cool. One of its perks is to gain extra gold with your Dragon Horde. So every single hero item you manage to get gives you extra gold income every single turn. It's actually very, very cool. I like it. Some things could be tweaked with this and taken advantage of this with your build as well, so keep that in mind. But yeah, Dragon Lord, absolutely brilliant. Just that there, the Dragon Horde part, makes this so powerful. Because as we all know, the more money you have in this game, the easier your life. Now we also get another interesting change here, whereas if we would have picked anyone else, we would be able to pick the type of weapon that we would go through. If you pick the Dragon Lord, you kind of get to do the same. However, the weapons you pick from are actually the affinity you want your dragon to be. Also, choosing the type of damage that they inflict. For instance, if you go into order, that would be spirit damage, shadow is frost damage, and so on. They all give you a different type of damage. But on top of that, you also gain an additional affinity point. I'm not going to tell you which one to pick here, guys. It's all pretty good. And it really does depend where you want to go, different types of damage that you like dealing in. I think there can be a lot of fun here, and I really do think that the dragon build is a good way to start the game with additional affinity points. You can stack it, you can spread it, it really is up to you. And after a little bit of messing around, we finally have our dragon. Now, I've called him after a Pokemon. You call him anything you want. But this is Big Head Bob's Horde. Going further into this video, I'm going to go over different affinities that I think you should look at. And I'm also going to go over the next tome as well, that being the Dragon Tome. Now, as I mentioned before, the Dragon Tome itself, or the Tome of Dragons, is unlocked as a tier 3. You will continue to get 2 affinities with these new tomes, one being nature, one being chaos. And the main reason you want to pick this up is because you get the chance to build the Wyvern's Eyrie, which, once built, will allow you to train and recruit full-on dragon units. Now, these new units, these new dragons, are called young dragons. We start with basic access to two different types. You can unlock an ability to unlock more types of them as well. And these units also evolve as well. These dragon units are very, very powerful. They are classed as an animal unit as well. So keep that in mind if you like going into the nature build, for instance. But I will stress these are very powerful units and a lot of fun to play through. Along with the Tome of Dragons, you'll also have access to race evolutions and be able to actually transform your race itself into a more powerful empire. Now, the Draconian transformation is pretty cool if you ask me. It does turn your race into a dragon race. It gives you guys wings and your heroes will float or fly across the map, which I quite like. It also boosts your troops quite significantly as well. But that is just two of the reasons why I would recommend picking up Tome of Dragons. It's absolutely worth picking up, even if you're not going down those affinities, that being nature and chaotic. Now, there are also a few extra little bonuses choosing this race, choosing being a dragon lord, and that is that your dragon levels up as well, just much like any other hero, except your dragon has access to a few different, unique, awesome abilities that your other heroes do not have. Now, the first thing to really mention is that your dragons actually have a brand new signature move. So once you reach level 4, you're able to pick and select a brand new signature skill, and these greatly differ. There's some really awesome ones here. I would recommend reading them through and choosing what you want. I think it's really interesting to note because until I actually played through a couple of times, I never even realized that these were brand new things. I read the patch notes and I never saw a single mention of this. It was only after actually playing the game, completing it as this race, I was like, oh, that's kind of a cool little touch. They really have gone fully in with this DLC. I quite like it. There are some really awesome little things, skill lines that you can pick up as you level up your hero. However, most of these moves, these dragon attack abilities, are devastating on a battlefield, very, very strong. But I think it's the bonuses that it gives you to your main town that you can pick up that I quite like. Because, of course, your hero happens to be the governor of your capital. So if you pick this skill up, your capital automatically gets a boost to knowledge, a boost to your city's stability, and also, most importantly, a boost to your city's fortifications and defensive, meaning the AI are less likely to attack your main city. In my opinion, the dragons are actually a great option for picking chosen destroyers. Now, I didn't mention chosen destroyers earlier in the video because unless you have actually unlocked them within your Pantheon, you're not going to have access to that anyway. But chosen destroyers and the dragon lords, I think, are going to be so overpowered. Now, this is the part of the video where I will talk you down which affinity I feel that you should go down. This is a faction build after all, but with the Dragon Lords, it's a little bit different. There are certainly some affinities that I feel will help you achieve and maximize what your dragons can give. Now, Shadow Affinity will help you reach max level with your heroes. Reaching what was level 20 is now level 18. Can be quite difficult, but there's a couple of key perks within the Shadow Affinity that can help boost the odds of you actually reaching level 18. Like, for instance, Exalted by Shadows, which will give you an extra 200% experience on your boss, on your heroes, all the heroes, but most importantly on your dragon. And of course, if you want that max evolution, if you're going to go through that max evolution of your units and you're going to get used to constantly getting those levels, then going down the order route and actually getting the final perk here could really help, because you get an extra bonus and an extra buff on legendary troops, something in which you're going to be doing as a Dragon Lord. But there we have it, guys. That is my breakdown of Dragon Dawn and the faction in which I would build going forward. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. If you have, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Don't forget we do have an active and growing Discord. The link is down below in the description. But until next time, I've been a Mark, we've been a Critically Curious, and I will see you in the next video real soon. Until then, take it easy and happy gaming.